Hey folks, how are ya? Today I am going to show you what I have been doing with wet felting glass jars. Most of them are yogurt jars. Some of them are Starbucks jars. They are all different sizes. This is the Oui Petite yogurt, which is yummy, by the way. This is a locally sourced yogurt in New York City. And then these are the Starbucks frappuccino bottles that I get in my vending machine at work. I believe they also have them at BJ's, and I'm sure you can get them anywhere. I've been trying to figure out ways of reducing my plastic, and I do like yogurt, and there are some really great yogurt companies that sell their yogurt in terracotta or glass, so I'm trying to repurpose them. The supplies that you will need today: scissors, bubble wrap, liquid soap. You can use hard soap, but liquid soap is easier. I use Myers. It's working really well for me, and I do love the way this one smells. This is lavender scent. It smells really nice. I said scissors. You will need a bottle. You will need a towel. You will need a flat surface to work. And you will need the bottom part of a pair of stockings. You probably have an old pair somewhere that maybe you can cut up. One of the things that I love about this project is that you don't have to get a whole lot of stuff. What you will need, however, is fiber. And I got mine at Living Felt. Bags and bags. This is mostly merino top, and I also got some bamboo and some silk. So pretty, add some shine to the projects. And what's called neps. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but it adds some really nice texture, and really am happy with how that is looking. And I'm going to put this on pause, and then we will get started. Okay, I am back. Hello, by the way. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is cover our jar with wool. I know that seems obvious, but this is batting. It comes flat and it's very fluffy. It's not as silky as the other stuff I'm going to be using, but it's got a really nice texture and I really like it. I'm going to cover the bottom first because I think in some ways that is the most important part. This is really easy to just kind of pull apart. This is actually the hardest part of the process because the wool will not adhere to the jar so great. Actually, I'm going to just dampen this a teeny bit because I think that it might stay a little bit better. Not much, but a little bit. And now I am going to take some of my merino roving, so light and fluffy, and you just hold on two sides and pull, and it will just kind of split apart like so. It's so nice, just so pretty and soft. And I'm just going to start placing my wool. It doesn't matter, really, none of this really matters. You're just covering the jar. Use big pieces, use small pieces. Get some contrast. This color is so beautiful. I haven't really been using a lot of color. I don't think that I'm great with color, so I tend to want to stick to things that I know are going to somehow work together, and I've been really kind of conservative. And right now I'm doing something a little less so. What do I want to do next? Put things in different directions. Just have fun. I love doing this so much. I just think it is fun. I'm an actress, and usually on Sunday mornings I go to acting class, and my class was canceled today, and I was actually happy about it because I could stay home and felt crazy. But I'm sure if you're watching this you can understand. We crafters just want to craft. Okay, one more piece, I think. And now I'm just going to turn it over. This is a good time if you have a significant other or a roommate for 2 seconds. This is a good time to ask them for help. I do not have that, unfortunately, and I do it myself, and it's fine. But we need to now get the hose, which still has some fiber on from my last experiment. We need to get this over our wool, and it's a little tricky, so I'm just gonna stretch this as much as I can, and I'm gonna want to make sure that my seam is on the outside. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal, but it's probably better. And we are just going to pull it as wide as we can and just get it. It's easier with my fingers inside, and just get it over. That was not great. But just shove it back in and try to work out some of the lumps. Just feel around. Like I said, a lot of this doesn't really matter because we're going to make it prettier in a few minutes. You want to see if there are any holes. You want to see if there are lumps. You don't want too much at the top. There's a little bit of a lump there. Excuse me. Okay. I think I'm good. I'm going to tie a knot, not too tight, because we are going to open this a few times. And we're going to get this wet with hot water. If your water doesn't get hot quickly, maybe you want to boil some ahead of time. My water gets hot very quickly. Really hot. Ow. And I'm going to put a little bit of my soap, not too much. You want it to be slippery, but not too soapy. And I'm just going to start very gently rubbing my jar. I actually think I used a lot more roving than I normally do, so we'll see how that works out. I'm going to wet this a little bit more. And we're just going to lightly massage this for a minute or two, just to get things a little bit secure. I just keep moving things around because I'm seeing where it's lumpier. I definitely have a lot at the top, which I'm not thrilled with, but pretty much every one of these has come out really beautifully, so I shouldn't worry too much about it. Okay, now we're going to remove the stocking. We're going to do it very carefully because some of the fibers will attach themselves. You don't want to pull the whole thing off. Hold on to it and then just kind of shove it back on. I'm going to pull some of this off because I really have too much at the top. And that is okay. I'm just kind of moving things around. I want to make sure that I don't have holes. I want to make sure everything is covered. It turns out I don't think I got things as wet as I could have. That's okay, but just so you see, it doesn't look like much yet. We still have a lot to do. And I don't really have any holes that I can tell right now. So I'm going to dry my hands a little bit. I'm just going to start to add a little bit of interest. I have a lot of orange right there and not much blue, and I love the blue. So I'm just going to, you know, kind of decorate. This is the fun part. Another thing that I want to do is add what's called wool neps. They're little tangled lumpy pieces. They add a lot of texture. The problem with them is that they don't felt on quite as well. They don't really stick as well. So it's a good idea to get just a couple of wisps of light fiber and just kind of cover it a little bit. This is something that I haven't been doing, and I actually just Googled about it because I was upset that my neps were not adhering quite as well as I would have liked. Because the neps are white, they do come in other colors, but these are white. I like to put them in the place that there's color. I'm just kind of shoving it in there as best as I can. And then just a little bit of cover. I'm going to do that one more place. Oh boy, they all just fell in the water in my sink. Okay, I'm going to do that right there. Shove that in. Cover it with a little bit of light fiber. And one more thing that I'm going to do is add some silk, because that is what makes it shiny, and it really is the prettiest part. It's also very light. I just pull from the end and then I just place it wherever. This is going to go where it wants eventually, so don't worry about it. And I feel like I haven't been adding quite enough of this stuff, and this is really, I love it. So I'm going to be a little bit more, I'm going to put more on than I usually do. And I just remembered that I have some of this in orange, and I'm going to grab that real quick. I did not get that wet at all when I was on my first step, so that was not great. None of this matters. I'm going to turn this over. Oh, I do have a hole right there. It's okay to have holes because it looks nice with sometimes with the glass showing through, but I don't think I want it at the bottom. And I'd rather try to cover it if I can. Okay, I am going to put my stocking back on. To be a little bit easier this time. Make my knot. And get this wet again. I really want to get the top wet because I don't think I did such a good job of that before. Okay. And again, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to rub too hard. The fibers still are very loose. I'm going to add a little bit more soap. You want to make sure that you get every area, bottom, sides, top. I'm going to do this for a minute or so, and then we're going to take one more look just to make sure, because once the fibers have really felted, it gets harder to fix things. Okay, it's starting to feel better. It's starting to feel less lumpy, and I can tell that the process is going the way it's supposed to, and the fibers are doing that. I'm going to do this for another minute. It is natural for some of the fibers to come through your stocking. No big deal. I really like to work around the neck because I really want that to get tight. Make sure you do the bottom. I'm starting to get a little bit stronger. And I'm going to take this off one more time. Okay. So everything is looking good except this one little strand, but I think that'll be fine. Wow. I really do get kind of blown away, because I sort of can't get over what happens and how beautiful it is. Okay. Put this on again. much easier this time. I am going to remove my roving because once I start to really get moving, soap starts flying. And I don't think it needs to be wet. I'm going to start working a little bit harder. So when I had the idea of doing this, I had wet felted a little bit, not much, but a little bit. I've been getting obsessed lately with these glass jars. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I really try not to use much single-use plastic. So the yogurt that comes in glass, that's what I buy, and I'm ending up with all of these jars, and they're so cute. And I started crocheting these little cozies, and they're great, and I sell them in my Etsy store. But then I had the idea of, I wonder if I can wet felt. Can you wet felt on glass? And I started looking around, and I was having a really hard time getting an answer. Everybody who does bowls or 3D, they do it over what's called a plastic resist, and I didn't want to do that. And then I found this gal who was wet felting over an orange. I thought, well, if you can do it over an orange, you could do it over glass. So I went online and I bought a bunch of stuff, and it worked. And I've been having such a good time. So I'm going to grab my bubble wrap, and I'm going to start to apply a little bit more pressure. And I'm going to do this probably for about 15 minutes. Want to make sure that you rub in every direction, every side, the top, the bottom. And I'm not going to lie, it gets tiring. I'm applying some muscle right now. Because I've had a hard time with the wool naps, I really want to make sure that I work on those specific areas, because I really want that secured. I've used this pair of hose now for probably 5 or 6 of these, and I'm thinking that maybe I need to throw it away. Oh, one other thing I want to mention. I know a lot of people blogging about using these jars are talking about how do you remove the glue from the labels, and people say use Gooby Gone. Please don't use Gooby Gone. We're repurposing or upcycling a glass bottle or jar. Don't use chemicals. Harsh chemicals. I removed this label in about 5 minutes using some olive oil, and you don't have to use olive oil, it's just that's all I have. Olive oil and baking soda, which you probably have in your freezer. Just use that. The wheat jars are a little bit tougher. The top of the lid can be a little bit persnickety, and I tend to just scrape it off with the side of a pair of scissors, and that has worked really well for me. But avoid Gooby Gone. little bit of hot water once in a while couldn't hurt. We are at the end going to rinse this off with cold water. That also helps the fibers felt. So if your water doesn't get cold real fast, you might want to make sure you have some in the refrigerator. Whew. Okay, so I started making this about 27 minutes ago. So all in all, the whole process should take about a half hour. And I'm going to rinse this off with hot water. It's a little bit hard to get the soap out, but a couple of squeezes, a couple of rinses. My water actually gets too hot. So that's what we have. The reason that I say to have scissors is because sometimes you end up with extra stuff at the top, which you might like. But certainly if you want to use the cap, you're going to want to cut some of that away. And now I am just going to pour some cold water. Squeeze. I'm going to grab my towel, just try to absorb some of that extra. This kind of looks like a sunset. So this is how she came out this time. I will show it to you again when it's dry because it definitely will look better when it's dry. Okay, be back in a little bit. Hey, so it's been a few hours and I just wanted to show you what it looked like dry. I will admit, I don't think it's my best, but you will come up with your own creations and I will continue to come up with mine, and maybe you'll share something with me on Instagram. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.